there are moments when events happen in the outside world that seem to kind of peak emotions, and it starts trending online, and then there is this game that is played out, which is basically the game of separation that we have been living in on this planet for a very long time. And the separation, the antidote to separation is to come back into unity, and not just unity between all of us, but unity with ourselves, and back into the connection of who we are as a part of this interconnected web of source that we are literally all a part of. And the separation and the duality that we experience on this planet is basically like an overlay of what's real. And in the Indian scriptures they call it the Maya, which basically translates as the illusion. So what we see happening in this 3D world is an illusion, because it's not completely real, and it's not completely true and completely 100% what's happening. And so if you see things like that, then what you can do, and what we can all do to help this process and to help our own awakening, basically, is to come back into the remembrance of who we truly are. You might have heard that this is a spiritual battle that is taking place at the moment, and it's a spiritual war. And again, the illusion is that it is this battle between good versus bad. Obviously, that is what we're seeing, and that is what we're experiencing now on this 3D physical dimension. And a lot of people have come to the conclusion to realize that there's literally this shadow government taking place, manipulating things, controlling things, creating these certain agendas to keep us divided. And so then what tends to happen sometimes is that people go into the state of anger and frustration against these people, right? But again, we are moving through an evolution in consciousness. And as we begin to gain more of our consciousness and our light, what we begin to see is that they are just acting in ignorance. And, the bad deeds that take place on the planet are just taking place through ignorance. And the other level of that is to realize that when we come back into our connection as source, is that we begin to understand why this is taking place at the moment, and we begin to realize that it's just the divine dichotomy that, that we have chosen to incarnate, to play these specific roles, and to learn who we are, because source is always and has always been one. But source wanted to experience itself as everything, every single thing, because how do you know who and what you are unless you experience what and who you are not? So some of us came down into this third dimension in separation, in forgetfulness, and we are basically playing out on the world stage and in each other's lives this game of remembrance. And we are creating certain things, and especially in the world stage, people are creating these certain things that are going to trigger us into our own awakening of who and what we really are in truth. And so, yeah, coming back to that now is that these things are happening, and there are some beings that have been playing roles that have been extremely dark. Really, really, really dark things have been going on this planet. And again, they're acting in ignorance, because if you really know who you are as the light of source, then you would never do such a thing. And so they are also in this deep, deep, deep forgetfulness and this deep separation. So the illusion of the battle versus good versus bad, which, it is happening on this 3D plane, but there's more to that. And the separation and the duality that we experience here has been created this way so that we don't remember our divine inheritance as part of Source Creator. And so really the antidote is to come back into that. And the duality basically is making us believe that we have to fight ourselves in every way, because when these events take place, what ends up happening is that we fight each other. Even over there, they're fighting each other in the wars and, in the genocide and in these countries and the politicians. But then we are fighting each other as well, because if we're not agreeing on certain things, but really we have to obviously see what's really, really going on and look deeper below the surface. But at the same time, what we will see again is that when we begin to anchor in that source within us, we stop the fighting, because we know what's happening and we can see the bigger picture, and we know that the journey is one of remembrance, and that remembrance will basically bring us to a point of embodying these higher values of an advanced civilization, which is basically bringing in empathy and love and compassion for our brothers and sisters who are all part of us. And so, even though these beings have done really bad and really dark things, the question is, how much can you anchor in Source? And even though they make us believe, the hierarchy enslaving you, that we are in separation and everything has to be a fight and we have to be fighting each other and it's either this and it's either that, it's black and white. The question is, are you able to rise above that and remember your source and come out of the fear? Because at the end of the day, this battle and this game makes us believe that the power is outside of us, that we have to keep fighting, when actually, when we remember the true power is of the eternal source that is in us and that we are a part of, that is who we are, where we come from. When we can remember that, then we basically will lose our fear, because we start to remember, oh yeah, actually, this, whatever is unfolding in the world and unraveling, is taking place for the highest good of all. Whatever is happening, Source is basically creating this. And it's creating this so that we can awaken and so that we can remember who we truly are. And so if you are feeling like you don't know what to do, there's so much chaos happening in the world, and you really want to help and you really want to support, the antidote is always to walk this path, this inner journey, and to remember who you are. And this is the awakening for all of us that we are all going through, is in remembrance of who we truly are. This is why it is a spiritual battle that is taking place at the moment, because we are remembering our spirituality. And so even though it seems like it's such a little thing to do, it's very powerful. And things work energetically. So when you begin to anchor in this source, and you anchor in your own higher self as well, and higher selves journey, and to that inner stillness, connect with the source of who you are and who we all are, and bring that into remembrance. And when chaos ensues in the world, stay in your power and in that light of remembrance, that we do not need to fight, that we can hold empathy and compassion for all of our brothers and sisters, even the ones who have done really bad deeds. And because we're going to be moving through this shift, and the light is coming through the planet, it's coming through the sun, it's coming through the earth. So those who are receptive and ready, we're all moving through this already. So people you will see that were, under the manipulation of the old guard, they're no longer going to be under that anymore, because the light is literally winning. Because, and again, the winning part is an illusion, because this is all designed by the one, by the creator, right? So, and also, just PS, I'm not talking about religion here, because the religion is highly distorted. I'm just talking about your own connection to the one, and that's all we need. The new type of spirituality that we have moving forwards is one where you don't need someone in between you and your connection to source. And it's a different understanding of what source really is. It's not this one person. Anyway, I'm not going to go into that, but it is an embodiment of our of all of our of all of us, of who we really and truly are. So I invite you into this remembrance, and you can just do it on your own. You literally do not need anything. Just sit with yourself, give yourself 10 minutes every day to just be with yourself, and slowly it will start unraveling. And I know this because I've done this myself. And if you do need support, which you might not, I do have an online course. It's called Awakening 101. And this is really just to support you through this journey of remembrance. And really, this is a protest. This is the most powerful thing that you can do right now, is to come back into this, come back home and come back into the light and bring this light onto the planet during this time of such upheaval.